we have Shifra Williams, founding DevRel from Render, who will be showing an application with Pydantic AI deployed on Render.
Hi, everybody. My name is Shifra, and as Lais kindly introduced me, I'm the founding DevRel at Render. And this talk is called What Your AI Pipeline Does When You're Not Looking. Spoilers, you should be looking. So I want to start off by asking, who's heard of Render? Awesome. Okay, great. Good amount of people. So Render, for those who don't know, is the place where you can deploy full stack apps and agents in production. We hear a lot about agents in dev. We don't see a lot about agents in prod. And Render is really simple. You select a service. This is the lowest level of abstraction on the infra that you'll deal with. You'll deploy your code, and Render is going to do all the rest. Now, in the bottom corner here, I did want to showcase Workflows, our brand new service we launched in open beta literally yesterday. And this is durable, resilient, and long-running services where, as you can see, agents can attempt multiple times, checkpoint, recover, and run. So if you want your agents in prod, Render is the place to do it. Now, what am I going to be demoing for you all here today? Well, I'm going to be showing you an observable AI pipeline. As I said, you should be looking, so we're going to look. And this AI pipeline is going to use a Pydantic embedder, of course, Pydantic Logfire, Pydantic GenAI prices to track the cost of AI queries, and of course, it's all going to be deployed on Render. Now, you might have seen me fiddling back there. That's because the demo gods are not on my side today. But you know what happens. When the demo gods condemn you, you throw it back in their face and you make it part of the demo. So that's what we're going to do today because we're engineers. Cool. Let me jump into a demo. So what happened today was my database decided to delete itself, which was very great. I love when that happens. So I'm rebuilding the entire database in prod right now. What I'm going to show you is the observable AI pipeline that I built, and then we can get into exactly what went wrong and why it's still useful, even when it's going wrong. So I'm going to click this button that's going to say, how do I deploy an AI agent on Render? And as you can see, this is a platform where we can ask Render anything. It's an observable RAG pipeline with multi-query retrieval and claims verification. So as you see, we're going to go through this generation process that's going to track the cost, and we can see the agent writing something in real time. So what's going on here is there's question embedding. So what we're doing here, and we'll jump into the code in just a bit, is we are taking our question that we typed in a natural language up here, which in this case was, how do I deploy an AI agent on Render? We are embedding that using Pydantic's embedder tool, and then we are actually throwing that into our RAG pipeline to retrieve context from the Render docs, which are loaded in here. We find those docs, we build an answer, we isolate each claim. What are the facts being claimed here? And we look to verify those claims with the context that we have in our RAG pipeline. From there, we can also see all of the different sources that we're checking to match against our claims. So these are like the articles that you can actually jump into to verify, which again, we should all be doing because AIs can make anything up that they want. We can see the different stages of the AI pipeline and ensure that they've all been successful, see how much each of them cost. And then of course we have logs, and those are being pulled from Logfire right here, which is showing us all of these database operations, checking our health, doing the question embedding process, etc. And these are the logs that are just coming in from the latest runs here, and the health is just going to keep pinging. And with that, we have this really helpful article where it's going to talk about the core approach, how you can choose a deployment pattern, which Render service you want to use, whether it's a web service, a background worker to scale out, or of course, Render Workflows, the new service that I just talked about. It shows us a production-ready example, and it has some key deployment steps for us here. Then we also have a cost breakdown. We can see that by every single step of the way. And we can also see the evals here across OpenAI and Anthropic models, both of which are used because they're both good for different things. So we can also see the average across the two evaluations to see the agreement between the model evals. So this is really just showcasing what Pydantic can do. And I want to show you guys how Render capabilities actually make the broken prod demo even cooler than you might think. So of course, this is running on my local host because the database decided to die and that's currently redeploying. But one of the really cool things about Render is that our services are zero downtime, right? So even though it's deploying my new updated deploy command, the website is still up. It's at this Logfire render frontend randomslug.onrender.com for the subdomain, and it doesn't have access to any context, right? Because the database is empty. So it's saying to me, I don't have any documentation context loaded, but it's still giving me how to deploy an AI agent on Render. it's still recommending render workflows for resilient long-running agents. And it's still giving me basic deployment steps without the details because it doesn't have high confidence, it doesn't have the context, it doesn't have the sources, and yet it's still useful. Broken demo is still useful and still doing 80% of the value of the work with sources. So I thought that was actually pretty cool to show. And I'm pretty proud that our product can do something like that. So let's jump in to see this in action. We've already seen all the logs in Logfire, but let's see how we actually built this. So I have a couple of files open for you. I think this is clear enough to see. Let me know if it's too small, but literally such a great experience creating Pydantic agents here. So this is how we create the claims agent. I maybe should be adding additional documentation to this, but I can do that another time. We're setting our OpenAI chat model. We're using the claims model, which is of course a Pydantic model that we've set up before. We're using the OpenAI providers with our OpenAPI key securely set in a secret. We can have a special output type that's using a predefined Pydantic model class built off the base model. And then we have the specific claims extraction instructions, which are listed above here. So it's just really clean, easy to read agent code here. Then we have the embedder using the OpenAI embedding model in this example, pulling again our OpenAI API key, and then also setting our embedding dimensions. You also might be wondering where we're getting these prices from. I am literally pulling the raw GitHub user content from Pydantic's GenAI prices because I want to see all of those updates, and then I have some cached values as a fallback, of course. And finally, we have observability. And one of the most fun parts of this is seeing how we can just immediately auto-instrument all of these libraries globally. So we can instrument OpenAI, Pydantic, async processes, and everything like that. And then we can also define our custom logic for instrumenting every single stage of this pipeline with custom decorators that wrap around. And finally, the last thing I'd wanted to share with all of you is the render.yaml. So it seems like most of us here are building features, building AI, and I don't know how much people in this room want to be wrestling with infra. And I personally find render.yaml the easiest YAML infra config file to read, much easier than reading direct Kubernetes configs, reading Docker files, which you can do on render, but this is much easier in my opinion. And it's really just plain English, really short lines, nothing too complicated to follow here. And what's really fun about this is, for example, we can have the prod database using the PG vector extension, and then one of the most annoying parts of this would be storing the different database secrets to pass around to your backend and your front end. And we actually have that automatically populating. So for example, we're pulling the database URL from the database ID using the connection string property, and we can just auto-inject all of those things. So you don't even have to do this. You can do this with natural language. You can use the render skills. You can use the render deploy skill or the render MCP to do this for you, and essentially just have all of your production services, web service, backend, front end, and database all talk to each other. And I just find it so easy to read, so easy to configure, and it's something that I think is just a game changer when you don't want to think about deployment and you want that to be essentially vibe deploying at this point in the game. So with that, I did want to offer some really cool resources to get people started on the platform so you can be deploying your agents for free. And the first QR code I have is for people who might want to sign up to get free credits. We're going to be giving out $20 to $50 of credits. It's enough to last a month or multiple months. So if folks want to sign up, the next QR code that I'm going to show is where you can request credits from me. And as long as you've signed up, I'll be able to get those credits directly to your email. So I'll give just another moment for that here. And I think I did talk to some folks in the front row who are already signed up. So get on the train, everybody. Cool. And then from there, you can now request free credits. This is just going to get you into my database, and I can follow up with you later to get those credits into your email. Awesome. I also wanted to invite folks to join the Render developers on Discord. We are so excited to see fresh AI and agentic use cases, and we would love to see your work. Potentially, if it's really interesting, write a guest blog about it, promote it, show people in the community what you're building, because that's what we're all about, is building community around your prod AI agents. And finally, I've linked the code base so you can see how we've connected all of these different Pydantic tools like embedding, Logfire, Pydantic agents, and deployed them on Render. So if anyone wants to check out the code base and how all of that stuff works, it's linked right here. And I will fix the prod deployment after this to get the database working.
Thank you, Shifra. Lovely presentation. Thank you very much.